Hey, what's up guys? It's Dom from Whole Printing Inc. Now, before this video starts, I want to give a big disclaimer. This video is going to be a talkative form and less educational. However, I still believe this is going to be the most important video I ever made. And the reason I kind of stuttered on most important is because it's kind of subjective. Some of you are going to find immense value, and some of you, it's maybe not the video for you. So with the disclaimer being, said, let's get right into today's topic. Now, I'm not going to be showing you a tutorial in this video. This video is going to be quite serious, and I don't want to play the victim in this video. This is not the goal. As you can see from the title, The Dark Truth About DTF Printing, this is not a happy video. I don't mean to discourage anyone. My intentions are pure. I wish this video existed for my younger self. Before we get started, what is direct-to-film printing? Direct-to-film printing, in my understanding, is a new type of technology. From what I'm seeing online, it's been existing for like 20 to 10 years. It's relatively still a new technology from what I'm seeing online. And if I can start this video off by saying, nobody knows exactly what they're doing. You might reach out to experts like me, or experts that have been doing this for 10, 20 years. And yes, their advice is very useful. It may troubleshoot your problems and fix them. That's the goal. However, in direct-to-film printing, you'll quickly realize that the second that you find the solution to something, a new problem is lingering already. You can't simply fix a problem and expect the problem to be gone forever. Oftentimes in direct-to-film printing, you kind of try to make it work. These past 6 months have been living hell for me. And I do not say this lightly. As you guys remember, I've been DTF printing with smaller printers. I'll put a photo on the screen. And these small printers have been really good for my business. It's how I started. I learned everything I know from these printers and a lot of knowledge. Some of you even reach out to me for support. A few months ago, I made a video on YouTube and you guys saw this big commercial printer that's behind me right now. I bought this printer secondhand, and I know what you're saying. Never buy something that's secondhand, especially a DTF printer. Some people take better care of their DTF printers than others. I recently sold one of my smaller DTF printers, and I had taken good care of it over the years, so I was proud to sell it because I knew I was giving something to somebody that could actually be useful and without problems. Well, still have problems, but it's not the printer's fault, right? It's just the DTF technology itself. The printer was working perfectly fine. So I sold my printer, and I did some renovations in the shop. You guys will see as the videos start progressing. Also, I'll be posting every single day about my journey. 2 videos a day. 1 video on the small DTF printers, the L1800s, and also 1 video on the commercial printer to help you guys on your journey wherever you might be. If you're still printing with small printers, these videos are still going to be extremely useful. And if you're transitioning to a big printer like I have, these videos are going to be extremely useful because there's not a lot of content online on these big DTF printers. And this kind of carries on onto my point of living hell. When I bought this printer, I bought it for a very, very good price. I bought the printer and the oven for a ridiculously low price. And I also bought 20 rolls, a bunch of different DTF inks, powder, all that type of stuff. It was incredible. Let's say I invested a certain amount, and then I had to invest another certain amount into getting my electricity. And then I had to invest a certain amount into getting a new computer. I had to invest into getting some supplies, just general stuff like syringes, stuff like that. Investing, and then I started to do consultation with the technician that was previously working on this printer. Long story short, our relationship did not end properly. I don't want to point any fingers. This is not the type of person I am. However, last time the technician came, he's charging me a certain amount, and I was happily paying it because, we were making some progress. Even though the progress was very slow, I know how it is. I signed up for this machine, so I didn't mind paying for an expert to come over here and kind of, play around with the printer. Unfortunately, the last time the technician came over, he inserted the cables and we did some replacements. We inserted new print heads and we finally printed our first page. However, the page was not calibrated at all. The prints were all over the place and we weren't getting the calibration correctly. And the technician said, "Oh, you need to calibrate your printer." I'm like, okay, I'll look up some forms online and I'll get to it. Technicians leave, I pay him. I reach out to somebody online. His name is Saeed, a man from Pakistan, and a blessing of a man, really a incredible guy. We talk for 6 hours on the phone, and he basically tells me, yeah, so the cables have not been inserted properly. I'm like, what do you mean? I recently just paid somebody a few hours ago to come do the insertion of the cables properly. So I doubt that the cables are not inserted properly. So I text the technician and I ask him, have you properly inserted the cable? I'm talking to another engineer online, and he's been telling me that the cables are not installed properly. The technician that came to do the physical job reassured me and told me, yes, I have properly inserted the cables. Now talking to Saeed, the technician from Pakistan, he tells me, no, Dominic, your cables have not been inserted properly. I'm like, okay. He's like, try this. Remove the cables, reinsert them, and just like that, calibration is almost perfect. I call the technician and I tell him an update on the situation. I tell him, hey, just want to give you an update. Mistakes can happen, but you have not properly installed the cables. I will give you an update on the situation as I progress. Go back on the phone with Saeed, and we start calibrating the printer. One heck of a job. Video on calibration about these big printers will be coming soon. And I have 4 DTF heads. So calibrating is not the easiest thing to do. 6 hours passed, so it's been 12 hours plus the technician, so it's basically been a 16-hour day at this point that I'm playing with this printer. Towards the end of the night, I get a bit frustrated and I text my old technician and I tell him, I find it very unfortunate that I had to, go through all this stress to fix the printer. I paid you for a job and the job was not properly done. I'm open for negotiation, but do you think you can come and show me how the oven works so I can get back to printing? No response from the technician, and eventually after a few days pass, we have a group chat with the Chinese engineers that make these printers. He basically says in the chat that I will no longer be performing any physical labor on this printer. All questions should be addressed with its appropriate owner. I text him, I call him, no response. A few days later he responds to me and he tells me it's not because I did not properly insert the cables that there is any damage. Basically saying that even though I did not do my job properly, it did not cause any damage to your printheads, therefore I'm not liable. We go back and forth, and to keep the story kind of condensed here, we go back and forth and I try to explain to him that it's not the fact that nothing broke or anything, it's the fact that I paid you for your service and you did not properly deliver. I realize mistakes can happen, we're all human, and I just want some sort of compensation here. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. I've given you a substantial amount of money, I would just appreciate some gratitude and respect here. The conversation basically ends that I call out his character because he's deflecting the problem. I tell him, it shows a lot about your character that you won't even pick up the phone. And he basically ends the conversation by telling me that he's threatening me, basically telling me that if I don't watch my words, he will remove me from the Chinese engineers. So this is kind of how our relationship ended. I'm alone, I don't have any more technician. The Chinese engineers, I'll have a separate video on this, but they're not very helpful. They're not the worst, but if you compare them to the Pro Color team, they are awful. So I'm basically alone. Saeed, the man from Pakistan, is providing me with great value, and I'm also looking up on Facebook groups and trying to just learn as I go. Invested around $20,000 Canadian to this printer, buying printheads, support, technicians, supplies, etc. So, and I haven't printed anything in over 5 months. Eventually, I get the calibration good enough, I print my first ever page, and I'm excited. The day after that, I go to try and test out my oven, and I get a printhead strike. Basically, my 4 printheads have touched the paper, and I had to physically force the paper underneath the printheads, creating scratches. Initially, I thought that I broke my 4 printheads, leading to an additional cost of around $6,000 Canadian for 4 print heads. I'm devastated. I want to give up. It's been living hell, and I'm skipping a lot of details, guys, because I don't want to bore you, but ever since I got this big printer and the trials and tribulations I have faced, a nightmare. Now, where do we stand today at the time of this recording? I'm able to print without any issues. The calibration is a tad bit off, but we'll leave it like that for now. We need to start printing and providing our clients with their orders. We are receiving a slight white outline around our prints, so we're trying to fix that slowly. But at the moment, the orders need to come out, so we kind of compensate for that white outline in Photoshop and we make it work. We're testing the oven. We haven't had any particular training, no YouTube videos at all, so that's kind of where I step in. I will educate you guys on how everything works, so you guys don't feel as lost as me as you transition from a small printer to a big printer. It was by far the worst experience I've ever felt and experienced. I don't wish this experience on my worst enemy. Every single day I was stressed, could not sleep, could not eat, had difficulty connecting with my loved ones, and overall just a very, very bad time. I'm happy today because we made some significant progress and the condition of this printer looks stable for now. The reason this is titled The Dark Truth About DTF Printing is that most of you guys will start DTF printing and you will get excited. Wow, I'm printing pages. You will soon realize that a lot of problems are occurring. Once you fix a problem, a new one is creeping up on you. And you just want to print, you just want to make your clients happy, and you just want to scale your business. These DTF printers are not for the lighthearted people. I consider myself to have a lot of willpower. And honestly, for these past 6 months, every single day, I wanted to give up. I'm not somebody that gives up. I gave up on my YouTube channel. I gave up on some of my relationships. I gave up on my health. I gave up on my habits. I gave up on everything that makes me me. And the reason I'm kind of making this video is to hopefully prevent yourself from going down the same path as me. Now, it's too late for me. I've invested all of my life into this business, so I'm gonna find a way to make it work. But before you consider buying your first ever DTF printer, or before you transition from a small printer to a big printer, consider all of the pros and cons. It might be wise for you to keep focusing on the business, meeting up with your clients, providing good customer service, and actually, focusing on the brand itself, and maybe a bit less focusing on the production. You can still print your shirts at home, but maybe consider buying, DTF transfers from a trusted supplier. The last thing you want is that your printer's not printing, you're spending all your money and your time, and your clients are getting frustrated. You want to provide a good service to your clients, and if you're not printing, well, your clients are not receiving their orders. I'm at a point now that it's too late for me. I don't necessarily want to outsource stuff that I can do here in my shop, and I have a big influence in the DTF printing world, so I want to be of service to you guys. So I'm gonna buckle down and just get to work. But for you guys that are focusing on production and printing shirts, it's maybe wise for you to take a step back from DTF printing itself and consider buying some transfers online. If you're strong and if you decided consciously that you're ready for a wild ride, this experience is for you. I just want to save you guys some trials and tribulations. If I could rewind and go back in time, instead of investing into this big printer, I would have bought Pro Color printers, the new DTF XP600 dual printhead printer. It prints in around 5 to 8 minutes, and you still have to manually insert your sheets into the oven, but they also sell a shaker attachment, kind of making this whole process of a commercial printer into a smaller format. At this point though, I don't necessarily regret it because I've learned a lot, and I know that these videos are going to be extremely helpful for you guys that are listening. But if I were to take a step back, I would have probably not even invested into DTF printers. I would have simply bought the transfers online and keep providing my customers with a good customer service. You make a bit less money, but when you outweigh the pros and cons of all of the ink you need to buy, the equipment, the support you need to buy, the headache that you go through, I think that honestly buying transfers online is even cheaper than doing them yourself. Not just my humble opinion. If everything's going well, then yes, it's more profitable. But let's be honest here. If everything is going well, you're just a mistake away or a unfortunate event away from things going completely wrong. If I want to stack up on extra supplies, I need to invest a few $1,000s. It's expensive, you know? So for me at least, I'm gonna buckle down and I'm gonna get back to work. I'm gonna provide you guys with 2 daily videos, one on the small printers and one on the big printer. And as I progress, everything's gonna be okay. I know that everything is gonna be okay. But hopefully this video has shined some light on the dark truth about DTF printing, and hopefully you can avoid the mistakes I've made. Try to buy your printer brand new, even though you'll maybe be paying 10 times the price of a used one. Buy it brand new, get the support from the seller. Ideally, get the seller to come install the printer at your house or your workshop and go from there. If you can avoid buying something that's used and paying the price, you will have less problems. And before you even decide consciously to invest into a DTF printer, don't just think that you're going to take an image, print, and game over. There's a lot of things that goes into it, even if you buy a new one. And also, I want to tell something that I don't see a lot of videos online. I know that I'm not the only one experiencing this. The quality of the L1800, I do not know about the ProColor XP600 dual print head. I don't know about that printer because I haven't used it, but I can speak for the DTF L1800. The quality is phenomenal. It takes around 20 minutes to print a full colored image, but the quality is phenomenal. When I was printing with my DTF L1800, I didn't think much of the quality. I felt like it was okay, pretty good. When I switched to a DTF commercial printer, the print heads are 3 times more expensive, and I have 4. So instead of buying a print head for, let's say, $700, $500, however you pay for your DTF L1800 print head, I'm talking about Canadian here. So let's say you pay $400 to $800 for a DTF L1800 print head in Canada. You have to buy 4 print, well, I have a 4-head printer, some of you might have a 2-head. I have to spend $6,000 Canadian plus shipping, plus tax. So like $7,000 Canadian for 4 print heads, and the quality is not comparable, in my humble opinion, to 1 print head of the DTF L1800. The quality is better on the smaller printers, less headache, just slower prints. So basically, there's a few ways I would go about it if I was to change this. I would buy 4 DTF L1800s and I would attach them to shakers and I would automate the process. You're limited to the size, but I mean, is that really important? And if you're running 4 DTF printers, the cost is going to be less and the headaches are going to be way less, because you kind of can, if you have 1 DTF printer already, you already know what you're getting yourself into. So that's what I would do. Or maybe I would buy the DTF XP600 dual head printer, and kind of go through that same process again. So I'm honestly not impressed from these big DTF commercial printers. Quality is not living up to the expectation that I thought. I figure that if I'm to buy expensive print heads, the quality is going to be way better than the cheaper print heads, but no, not in my experience. Some of you might be having a better experience, but you can make your own decision before you buy your first ever DTF printer. Maybe consider switching to transfers. If you already have a DTF printer and you're thinking about going commercial, maybe outweigh the pros and cons of buying sheets online, or maybe investing into smaller printers and getting the smaller shakers so you can automate your process. And if you already have a DTF printer and you're already in the mix of all of this, hopefully my videos will shine some light and give you guys some hope. And it's not all bad, guys. There's a lot of ways to work around it, and I'm still relatively new to this experience, so hopefully it will get better in the future. But if I could rewind, I would maybe consider buying some DTF transfers online, or maybe having like 5 to 6 DTF L1800s with shakers, just having a bunch of them in my shop and just going like that, because I really like the quality of the DTF L1800. So what I'm personally going to do from now on is my new clients, I'm going to provide them with the DTF commercial printer. I will get better and I will learn more, and hopefully the quality will get better as well. But I'm really in love with the quality of the DTF L1800. So what I'm going to do moving forward is I'm going to buy the shaker for the DTF L1800, and I'm going to buy more of them. And I might even switch over and try the DTF XP600 dual head printer, and if the quality is good and the output of speed is good, then I'm going to be investing heavily into DTF XP600 dual head printers and buy shakers, and just kind of have the same experience as the DTF commercial printer, a bit slower, better quality, and less headache, hopefully. So that's kind of where I stand. I'm not gonna transition to sheets personally because I want to have control over the quality, but it's just interesting to see how this journey has changed. I thought that I was going to invest into a big DTF printer and all my problems were going to go away. That's not the case, guys. So if you have any questions or concerns, or you just want to chat about your experience, feel free to comment down below. I look forward to sharing my experience with you guys. And like I said, guys, 2 videos every single day. One on the small DTF printers and one on the big DTF commercial printer. So I'm really excited, even though that these past months were a living hell. I feel like these following months are going to be incredible. Thank you guys so much for sticking along. Thank you guys for sticking along with me in this journey. I promise that I will post every single day. No more excuses. It's time to get back to work and make some progress. Best of luck to anybody that's DTF printing. I lift my hat to you. It's not easy, but if you are already in this journey and you're strong, don't give up. It gets easier, but you have to do it every single day. Thank you so much for watching. This was Dom from Whole Printing. Make a print you'll never forget.